Comparing Star Wars mobile games. This was something that I clicked on because it sounded interesting from Flandrew. And I don't know nothing about it. I don't know nothing about no Star Wars mobile games. And I kind of want to know about some Star Wars mobile games. So here we go. Star Wars mobile games.
If you remember alcoholic Jawas, Luke threatening Yoda, and Obi-Wan squishing pedestrians on Utapau, then you grew up playing Star Wars games on mobile, and in this video we're going to compare the ones developed by
I don't know nothing about these.
THQ in the mid to late.
Oh wait, no, I do know this one. I've played this one.
2000s. Let's begin with Star Wars Cantina, a diner simulator released across a bunch of mobile platforms back in the
It looks like Diner Dash.
day, and straight away get a load of this MIDI theme.
It is Diner Dash.
You play as this giant-haired lady in the cantina, which is now owned by Dex for some reason. Here come the Greedos, and they're very thirsty. Alright, 2 purples coming up.
This totally looks like something.
The Jawas took too long getting their
This totally looks like something I would have played when I was a kid.
green drinks and buggered off. And I like how
I used to play the worst games when I was a kid, man.
the main mode is just called Endless Shift. It looks like the developers have spent some time working in the hospitality sector. And don't be fooled by this cute design. The game turns into chaos very quickly. Okay, come on in. Yes, what would you like? Oh no, there's more.
Dude, the time that I wasted when I was a kid just downloading shitty educational games and playing them like kids' educational games. A lot of them were actually pretty good, but like shitty for me to be playing at that time. It was really weird. Like there was Macy's birthday or whatever. I don't remember. It was the mouse. It was the mouse. It was like crayon drawings, kids show. And there was a game and it was her birthday or his birthday. Was it a boy? I think it might have been a boy. Boy mouse.
Yes. Yeah, what would you like? Oh no, there's more of them. Dex? Oh, there's no more room. Dex? I can't. Excuse. Yes, what would you? The drink? Yes. No, someone can.
That looks like a nightmare.
Okay, next up we have Jedi Trainer. Wait, why is Anakin easy and Obi-Wan hard? Anyway, in this game, the Jedi stand in the center whilst the training drones slowly shoot laser bolts at them. The goal is pretty simple, just deflect the laser blast back, but I'll be honest, I never managed to figure out how to do it. I'm sorry, Jesus Obi-Wan, I failed you. And speaking of Obi-Wan, up next we have the Grievous Getaway. And this one is actually pretty fun. It's set in a top-down perspective and has you control Obi-Wan.
This looks pretty cool. This looks like something that I would totally play now, just to try out.
And his giant lizard as they chase Grievous on his bike. In addition to turning to avoid the pitfalls, you can also use Obi-Wan's lightsaber to swat away the Magna Guards and the crab droids and deflect laser bolts. Wait, who's that? Is that
This looks like something that I would have played on the Game Boy Advance.
Darth Sidious? Hey, watch out! And I didn't add that, by the way. The Wilhelm scream is actually part of the game.
What?
You see, these later levels are filled with Utapau.
Dude, I fucking hate the Wilhelm scream.
Civilians.
Immediately, if I'm immersed in something and I hear the Wilhelm scream, it pisses me off and takes me out of it.
Which Obi-Wan can very easily just mow down. And the only punishment is a 10-point deduction. I guess that's the price of life on planet Utapau. Staying with the Revenge of the Sith theme, we also have Battle for Coruscant, a simple top-down shooter which has you play as Anakin during the start of Episode 3. Next up is Star Wars lightsaber combat. Okay, let's see what this one's all about.
Whoa.
Oh, wow, wait, hold on.
I've played a lot of games that look like this when I was a kid, mostly on Game Boy Color.
How do I fight back? Stop, can somebody tell me the controls? Oh my god, look, if you lose, you just get
This is some Game Boy Color ass shit right here.
cut in half.
It was at this moment that he knew he f***ed up.
And the game over screen is Obi-Wan holding his leg. Alright, let's move.
It looked like hold on.
He knew he f***ed up.
And the game over
He looks like he's trying to really hard to squeeze out a fart.
screen is Obi-Wan holding his leg. Alright, let's move on. And next up is
Ask Yoda.
Yoda.
Is that like Ask Jeeves?
Wait, he's already dead. How am I supposed to ask him things if he's already dead? Oh, never mind.
Ask Judd? Anybody remember Ask Judd?
It's just the emulator dying. And speaking of, get a load of this Yoda's theme.
Oh, that's awful. Dude, I could have come up with something a million times better than that. They weren't even trying.
Beautiful. Anyway, the game isn't really a game, it's more of a virtual 8-ball. You're supposed to ask Yoda questions and get answers. Only half the time he just
It was the very first iteration of what AI could be.
bails on you. Push the button too hard, you have. What the hell does that mean? Okay, let's try again. Yoda, should I get an air fryer? Disturbing this question is. Meditate on it, I will. Okay, one more time. Yoda, is there hope for society, or are we
So he's basically just a magic 8-ball.
hurtling towards Armageddon? Tickle me, you have. Okay, moving on, and there were certainly plenty of these low-effort games from THQ Wireless around this time,
Of
like the
course.
Star Wars Puzzle Blaster.
Dude, THC used to release some absolute slop with some bangers thrown in here and there.
A simple bubble shooter, and the Jedi Mind Tricks game, which is another puzzle game. I'd say the most memorable thing about this game is the menu art. Remember that time Vader dueled Yoda? Luckily, it
That
wasn't
would've been
all
cool.
simple shovelware. THQ also released some decent mobile games like the Death Star Assault. This is a 3D shooter which starts off with you
Oh, this
flying the
looks cool.
X-Wing. The first mission takes
And it said, like, press the 5 key, so this was, like, on a flip phone or a candy bar style phone.
place in space and has you take on TIE fighters and Star Destroyers. This section even ends with the two Star Destroyers crashing into each other.
That's
I mean,
pretty
surely
cool.
that has nothing to do with me, right? The pilots just probably fell asleep. Anyway, the later levels have you play across the surface section of the Death Star, taking out the towers and then the trench run.
Yeah,
In
that's
addition to
pretty good.
that, you also get sections where you fly the Falcon during return.
For an old mobile game, incredible. This is, like, better than the Game Boy Advance, actually.
Of the Jedi. And I love how the orchestral MIDI theme stops as soon as you die, no matter how triumphant. Staying with the Starfighter theme, there was also
Like, to be able to play something that would have been, like, a banger in the early 90s on a tiny phone. That just sounds badass to me.
Imperial Ace, which had you play as a TIE fighter pilot during the invasion of Maigito. And I've got to say, the presentation is really good here for a mobile game. Look, it's got cutscene art and everything. Imperial Ace plays
Yeah,
very
they went hard with this one for why? Does this still technically exist? Could I buy this?
similar to Death Star Assault, only this one starts off a little slow. The TIE fighter itself moves really slowly, and look, even its lasers come out at a snail's pace. Luckily, there is a lock-on function. Also, the drowning Imperial theme makes everything feel like it's happening in slow motion. Thankfully, the game does pick up as the levels progress. Plus, you get to fly all sorts of different TIEs like the Interceptor throughout the asteroid field. Wow, look at that, a giant space donut. You also
Yeah, giant space butthole.
get to fly the TIE Defender, which you can use to blow up the Rebel capital ships. And these visuals
It's
are
pretty
actually
cool.
pretty
Yeah.
impressive for a mobile game. Eventually, you get to play
I like the design of it now. It's very charming.
as Vader in his TIE as he goes down to planet side and blows up everything. Overall, I definitely say it's one of the best Star Wars mobile games of the era. Now, to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Empire
I'm pretty sure that I played this one.
Strikes Back in 2007, THQ Wireless
I'm
would
pretty sure I had this on my Razzle Dazzle phone. It's like a phone that had a speaker on it and a keyboard, and you flip it. You like it was kind of cool.
release a mobile game. This one is also pretty decent.
Oh, yeah,
it
I
covers
definitely
all the
played
major events from the movie. You start
Yep.
in the snow speeder
Yep, I remember this shit. I definitely got this. I think I probably bought it on whatever the shop was.
on Hoth. There's no weapons, so you just have
Probably bought it straight from Verizon themselves.
to avoid the laser
Verizon
bolts, and for
store.
some reason it always wants to return to the center, but you do get a harpoon section at the end where you have to match the buttons and then keep this green marker in the center. There are also a bunch of levels on
This is the part that I remember the most.
Dagobah where Luke has to do some platforming and learn some Jedi powers. We've also got several Falcon levels like the Asteroid Chase and the Bespin Escape, but again there are no weapons and it always wants to veer into the center. And finally there are several levels with Luke on Bespin which end with the Vader battle. Look at Luke just crawling off the edge. He also forgot to put his grey jacket on, so he plays the entire Bespin section in a tank top. Okay, let's return to the prequel era. The Clone Wars animated
Oh, the Clone Wars had a mobile game. That's cool.
series
Is
also
it
got
any
a
good?
mobile game, and
I had the Xbox 360 game. I can't remember what it's called. Star Wars: The Clone Wars something. It had another name after it.
This is another example
I think I played it on PS2 though, actually.
of a Java game with great presentation and visual design. You control a squadron of clones who make their way through levels, taking out droid battalions and securing command posts. The clones shoot automatically, so your job is just to guide them through the levels and keep them alive. Unfortunately,
This looks really fun, or at least for a mobile game, or even a GBA game.
this is incredibly difficult because this game has tank controls. You see, you've got the directional buttons that
crazy.
you have to move
I'm good at Resident Evil though.
using the left and right arrows on the phone pad, and then once you've set the direction, you press the up button to move. Now, there was another Star Wars mobile game released around the same time which played kind of similar, Republic Commando Order 66. That's right, one of the best Star Wars games ever made and the most graphically
Yeah, I'm gonna have to play some Republic Commando. I haven't actually played this game.
impressive one at the time, got a sequel as a Java mobile game. You
That's
control
weird.
3 commandos at a time as
That's a crazy move.
they run through levels shooting enemies, but thankfully this time you can actually control when they shoot. Each section ends with a boss battle like this one where you have to take on Plo Koon and his starfighter. Again, imagine if this wasn't a damn Java game. Now, I don't think these were actually developed by THQ, but I'm gonna give a quick mention to the 2 LEGO Star Wars mobile games.
Oh?
Both were very simple. The
Oh?
first one followed a few levels from
Were
Revenge
they anything like the GBA Lego Star Wars games, which I want to check those out too? I actually haven't played those. Or the Nintendo DS version.
of the Sith and had you walk around chopping down droids and solving puzzles. The second one had a similar gameplay style, only this one focusing on levels from A New Hope. I will say the best thing about these games is their presentation. Despite being
They
simple
look
Java
cool.
games, the developers went out of their way to add a few flourishes, like being
I'd like to have these games. Is there a way to buy them?
able to deflect blaster bolts with the lightsaber, and the stormtroopers' Lego heads flying off when you shoot them. Okay, let's move on, this
What
time to
the
the
fuck?
mobile version of the
Why did this get a mobile version? Didn't it have a PSP version too, and it just sucked?
Force Unleashed. The big gameplay gimmick here was
This is probably better than the PS2 version, or not the PS2, the PSP version.
drawing patterns that you see
Probably the PS2 version also.
above enemy's head on the phone key to perform the attacks. And it started off pretty simple, but trust me, by the time you get to the boss, it's impossible to keep up. Now, there was also an iPhone version of The Force Unleashed, this one made using pre-rendered 3D environments. The gimmick is still pretty similar to the Java game, only this time you have to draw the patterns on screen with your finger. And while
Who thought this was a good idea? Maybe they were doing it just so they could test out the actual functionality of it, because you never know what kind of gestures and functionality ends up being the popular way to play games. But anybody who's a real person not chasing all of the dollars could see that this was not going to work.
whilst we're on the subject of
Anybody who actually knows anything about video games. By the way, that looks like an iPhone 3.
early iOS games, let's talk about Star Wars Trench Run developed for the
Ooh.
iPhone and iPod Touch. That's right, remember the iPod Touch for those of us too poor to afford an iPhone? Anyway,
I had an iPod Touch. I had multiple, actually.
this was a simple
I had the very last iPod Touch that they made.
flight combat game which had you fly the X-Wing during
I used it as a phone because it was basically just the iPhone.
the Death Star attack. The flying itself was done using the accelerometer. The graphics are pretty basic by today's iPhone standards, but they did the trick on the tiny iPhone 3G screen. The app would actually get a
That's
2.0
pretty good.
upgrade which unlocked new ships
I think what I got the Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies on the iPhone 3.
and allowed you to use your
It wasn't very good.
phone to control the web version of the game through StarWars.com. And sticking with the theme of gyro controls, around the same time THQ would release Falcon Gunner for the iPhone. This game put you in the seat of the gunner across 3 levels, 1 for each movie. However, this game's big gimmick was the augmented reality mode, which superimposed the TIE fighters over whatever your camera was seeing at the time. Around this time, the iPhone and iPad also got Imperial Academy, a basic first-person arena shooter. There was also Star Wars Battle for Hoth, a Plants vs. Zombies tower defense style game
Oh.
which had you play as the rebels as they held back the advancing
That's pretty cool.
Imperial forces. This game, like many others on this list, are getting close to becoming lost media. I distinctly remember playing this game back in the day, but the only record I could
Oh, please somebody preserve it. I don't want to lose a bunch of these phone games because a lot of them are actually really good. It's just that nobody knows about them because nobody really plays these old phone games. But we need to preserve them, man.
Find
Any
it
way
now
we
or a
can.
few old videos on YouTube. It's even worse when it comes to this supposed mobile Battlefront game.
What?
Some people say they definitely remember playing it, but the only evidence of it existing are a few screenshots found.
Dude, we need to find this. I want this. I want everything about this. I love Battlefront. I've played every Battlefront game. Not so much Battlefront 1 and 2, the new ones. But the original games and the ones on the PSP, boy, don't even get me started.
IGN. So leave a comment below if you've played this game. And finally, I know this technically isn't a game, but I couldn't talk about Star Wars on early mobile without mentioning the old Lightsaber Unleashed iPhone
I remember
app.
this.
Again,
Yeah. Everybody had this who had an iPod and iPhone.
this is another one that's impossible to get running.
Like people had the lighters and stuff on their phone. Like, check it out, I got a lighter. And it's like somebody would be like, hey, can I borrow a lighter? And they're like, sure, I got you. And then they pull out their phone and it'd be the lighter app.
On modern iPhones,
so dumb.
but one search for it on YouTube and you'll be flooded with pixelated 17-year-old videos of people experiencing the novelty of lightsabers on your phone for the very first time.
It was really weird. I still do it sometimes. I still pretend that my phone is a lightsaber and I'm just waving it around in the kitchen. People think I'm insane.
And so there we have it.
I used to play with a lot of bullshit apps like that whenever touchscreens were just starting to get popular when I was a kid.
Comparison of all the old Star Wars mobile games.
People had guns. The guns were fun. We'd shoot each other with the guns, with the iPod guns.
That I could find. It's certainly an eclectic collection. Sure, many of these games were quickly made cash grabs, but there were also some interesting and, dare I say, impressive entries for the mobile platform. And looking back at all of these
And I don't want to lose a single one of them. We need to have these games. They need to exist forever.
games is kind of bittersweet because THQ would end up hitting financial struggles by the late 2010s and be liquidated by 2012.
I remember
right
that.
around the same time as Lucasfilm was sold to Disney and LucasArts was shut down. So in some ways these janky mobile games represent the last years of a special era for the Star Wars fandom.
And there were so many great games from THQ. I'm pretty sure it wasn't... Was it Darksiders? Wasn't that THQ? I love Darksiders 1 and 2.
But that's just my take. Please let me know your memories of all the different Star Wars mobile games. Which ones were your favorite? Did I miss any of the ones you grew up playing? And how many Utapounds did you run over back in the day? As always, thanks for watching. Please
Yeah, Flandrew. I'm gonna have to check out some more videos from Flandrew. Totally not what I thought he was gonna be like, what he was gonna sound like whenever I saw this profile picture. I thought he was gonna be more nerdy and, you know, that kind of that character. No, he ended up being a British dude. I like it. I like it a lot. And that's where I'm gonna end today's show. Or tonight's show. Whatever. You should definitely follow the Patreon. I've got it linked in the comments. I've got it linked in the description. I got it linked everywhere, man. It's linked everywhere. You got to join that shit. I've been working on something called Astron Folly. It's a world. It's an entire star system with a timeline and people in it and places. And a lot of cool things happen. Basically, it's a world where people are forced to stream. They have no choice because they're all connected on the spiritual level to a mainframe server thing that exists just floating around in space, and it's invincible, and it's run by an AI that's completely out of control, and there's nothing you can do about it except just live day by day and just be human. And being human is chaotic, and society keeps collapsing in the Astron Folly. And that's just the way it goes. That's the way it has been. That's the way it is, and that's the way it always will be. It's just forever changing, but always in chaos. So check out that Patreon, bro.